Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you for stopping by today to see what I want to talk about. Today we're back to dating advice, and I read a study somewhere and I wish I could find it. I've Googled it to see where it is again, but I have these crazy things that pop up in my Facebook and my Instagram feed, and then articles I read on dating. I have no idea where I originally saw it, but the question posed to people was, do you get more nervous for a job interview or for a first date? And overwhelmingly, people said they were more nervous for a first date than they were for a job interview. And some of the reasons they state, well, let's talk about it. You want to hear what I have to, what I think and what I think is surprising and the way to overcome that nervousness? Stick around, that's what we're talking about. So the reason that people gave for thinking that they were more nervous for a first date was because they didn't know what to expect. They said, in a job interview, I sort of know how it's going to go. I know the types of questions, I know what the job is, I know what my experience was, so I kind of know the framework to a job interview. But with the wild card of a first date and somebody you don't know well, the questions arise: what is this person looking for? Are they going to like me? What different path could this date take? And it can go anywhere, right? So who knows? And then on top of that, there's that element of having to read clues and cues that this other person is giving you. So you have to be in the moment. That is key here to not being nervous on a first date, is staying focused and not thinking ahead. What am I going to ask? Or does she like me? Does he like me? But instead being focused in the now. You want to know what they're looking for? You can ask them that. Maybe you could have asked them that before this first date in a phone conversation or a video chat. Although right now, if you're dating, it's probably still a video chat. I find that dating from the apps and then having a virtual date, you can move very quickly now from connecting on the dating app to getting right on a virtual call, virtually the next day. It doesn't take a lot of preparation to figure out where, when, what you're going to wear, finding free time in your calendar. So it's super easy to plan a virtual date, and I do have some videos about virtual dating, and one that I particularly am proud of, and it's all about virtual dating, and I will link to it up here. But you can either ask at the beginning of this call or while you were just texting in the dating app or during a phone conversation to find out what this person is looking for. So thinking about those things I mentioned at the top of the episode, what is this person looking for? What should I expect, and do they like me? You have no control over those. So what's the point in being nervous over something you don't have control over? Why don't we instead focus on the things you do have control over? And I have 5 things that I think you should focus on that would make you more nervous for a job interview than for a first date. Number 1, if you are a person who just gets nervous no matter what prior to a date, I think some really great advice is to touch base with your people or your person, the one who makes you feel confident, the one who is your cheerleader. Have a conversation with that person the day of your date, an hour before, a couple hours, and let them know, I'm a little nervous and I just wanted to talk through the date situation with you because you always make me feel better. And let that person build you up and tell you, just be open to whatever happens, and that you've got lots of stories to share, and maybe give you a couple conversation starters, which I have a couple episodes which are conversation starters, questions you could go to should you feel that you're stuck, which on a virtual date you can have them right there on the table next to you to help you out should you totally let your nerves get the best of you and not know where to go next. But I think the interesting thing to keep in mind is that there are things around you that you can always pull from. I was talking to a male client of mine. I was walking around the house. I think I just grabbed a cup of coffee and was walking back into the room. We were just on a regular call. And he's like, I think I ran out of great questions to ask her. I said, well, you were at home in your own surroundings. Like if I were on a date with you right now, I see here on my shelf that there is a gift here that I got for the holidays. It's gold and it's got some stones in it. And I think I could launch into a whole entire story. Say, oh, I just saw this thing I got for the holidays. It's kind of a little bit woo-woo. It's these stones have meaning. Are you into that kind of stuff? I didn't think I would enjoy it, but it's so beautiful. I mean, it could take us into a whole conversation on whether you believe in things like healing stones and talking about energy, or thinking about what's on my shelf now if I were to pick something else. I mean, look around this room. We could talk about my tree and the fact that, oh, you know what, I'm a little embarrassed that I have a fake tree in my house after all these years. I still haven't figured out how to grow plants in a decent way. Although I've had some good luck. I mean, this conversation could go off and running based on any item in my room if you allow yourself to be in the moment and not worried about where it's going to go. So touch base with your person and allow them to help ground you in the moment so that you can use your surroundings and be free to bring up things as they occur to you. Number 2 is the physical aspects of this. And very often I tell my clients prior to the date, walking in to a place they're meeting someone, to stop for a moment outside the door. Take a deep breath, let the energy kind of clear away, recenter yourself, and think about the fact that you're just going to go in here and try to be the very best version of yourself and be a person who is interested. If you are a person that works out, make sure that you work out on the day of that date, that you use up that extra energy. Or before you leave the house, jump rope for 5 minutes. Or before you jump in the shower, do some jumping jacks. Whatever you need to do to release that nervous energy from your body, take a moment to yourself before the date, whether it's earlier in the evening or it's right before you walk in. Whatever will work for you, try to use your body to your advantage to help relieve some of that nervousness. I alluded to that will they like me question and the fact that you have no idea. You don't really know what they're looking for. You don't know where they've been, who they've been with before, what's on their list of must-have qualities in a person. You're not going to suddenly change your qualities to match what they're looking for. You can only be who you are. Does it seem like this person likes me? Will they like me? Does it seem like this is going well? What are they thinking? Do you think that they like me? Instead, focus on the things that you can control. And one of the most important things you can control is, instead of worrying whether you're interesting enough, is to make sure that you are being as interested as you can be. Focus on allowing that person to shine by asking them questions and truly wanting to know the answers, listening to their answers so that you can bounce off of their response into a follow-up question, as opposed to getting wrapped up in your head and letting yourself wander off while they're talking, thinking about what you could possibly ask them next. If you stay engaged in that moment and truly listen because you're really interested, things flow a lot more easily, because there will always be something they say that you will be interested in knowing more about. And that will lead you down the path of asking them follow-up questions. They're going to like you immediately because you're truly interested in getting to know them and paying attention. People want to be heard. They want to talk about themselves and share who they are and share their stories. So instead of worrying, am I somebody they'll like, become somebody that they would like. And my final tip for those of you who get more nervous on a first date than for a job interview would be to have a purpose planned ahead for this date. Not a purpose like to get myself a boyfriend or to meet the love of my life, but something that is an intention, something that is doable, something that you can aspire to and at the same time accomplish. Whether that is, I am not going to share, even if you go towards a negative, I am not going to mention my ex during this conversation. I'm going to get through a whole evening without that. Or I want to truly get to know this person, so I'm going to be an excellent listener. Or whether it is, I'm just going in here hoping to find a friend, So I'm going to find out what we have in common as far as interests to see if at least we could develop a friendship of sorts. Or maybe it's that you just want to have fun. I'm out for a good time tonight. I just want some great conversation and to be able to kick back and relax with a nice person and have some easygoing chit chat. That is an intention as well. So if you plan that ahead of time and take the pressure off yourself by not thinking, I'm going to go in and learn everything I can about this person to find out what they check on my list to see if this is my next great love, that's too much pressure. So if you set a realistic expectation and a goal or a purpose, an intention for the date, I think that you can walk away feeling like you accomplished something and that it went well, and hopefully that you at least followed through on your intention or purpose or goal of this evening, afternoon date. Those are some thoughts I had for people who find they are more nervous on a first date than they are for a job interview. I don't really get nervous for either of them, but I think part of it for me is that I do my prep work. And this is your prep work. You're learning how to be a better dater. So give yourself a pat on the back for making an effort to be the best version of yourself on future dates. I know there are a lot of people like you. Do not think you are alone. As a dating coach, I have lots of clients who come to me with concerns about the fact that they get nervous, sometimes debilitating nervousness. And if it's not debilitating, at least know you're ahead of the game there. And if it is, then maybe you need some more practice. And what is better practice than continuing to date? Well, I hope something in here was helpful to you. You found it interesting or useful to you some way. If so, if you would give this video a thumbs up, that would be great. I hope you will subscribe so we can, I almost said prescribe. I hope you'll subscribe so we can hang out again sometime. I'll look forward to seeing you back again soon. Thank you for being here today, and until next time, have a good one.